Hi, welcome to High Output, the podcast exploring how today's engineering leaders are building tomorrow's high-performing teams. I'm your host, William Chang, and each episode we sit down with visionary engineering leaders who are forging new paths in a rapidly evolving field. Join us as we gain a window into tomorrow's software orgs and discover what's next for our profession and the entire software industry. This episode is brought to you by Maestro AI. Engineering leaders, let's be real, building high-performing software teams has never been more challenging. You're trying to ship faster, keep your team healthy, and communicate value to stakeholders. That's where Maestro comes in. Maestro enables you to understand everything that's happening in order to improve velocity, spot blockers, and make better decisions faster. Maestro seamlessly integrates with your existing tools like Jira, GitHub, and Slack, so you don't need to change your workflow. Maestro cuts through the noise, revealing exactly who is delivering, who needs help, and where your team is spending time and energy. Visit getmaestro.ai for more info, because you don't know everything, but Maestro does. All right, our guest today is Mohammed Atif. With over 2 decades of experience in reinforcing digital transformation for Fortune 500 giants, including Intel and Samsung, Mohammed has deep expertise in implementing AI and digital solutions. As president and CTO of PureLogix, he specializes in turning technological complexity into competitive advantage, especially through strategic automation and AI enablement. Welcome to the show, Mohammed. Tell us about yourself. How did you get into engineering leadership?
Yeah, so I have always been like from the start loving to solve the problems, and I have been really fond to study the mathematics. So after my I showed interest to go to the computer sciences side. So I know that I started coding initially back in 2002. I was playing with C++ language, and then from there, I studied more like low-level languages like assembly language. I also did some system programming where I have been coding with parallel ports and serial ports, where I try to do some home automation projects back in my university days. From there, I started exploring Visual C at that time, and I remember that there was one of the competition where I made Minesweeper, we used to have in Windows 2000 Minesweeper games. So I made that game and I was the first prize winner. I made it within 5 minutes in Visual C. So those university like days where I have been solving a lot of problems, then I went towards the Visual Basic side. I have been doing a lot of business application in Visual Basic. Then there was .NET, C Sharp. So from there, like I started exploring some other tech stack like Ruby on Rails, LAMP stack, and other, and slowly started moving towards more of architecture role where I was designing a complete architecture of the application, database design, server-side infrastructure at that time. And I have been like also doing the project management and product ownership of different products at that time. So it has been like slowly like converting into more of engineering leadership role starting from that, like C++. So it's been a long journey over the past 2 decades. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, there's a big change from going from being a person writing the code yourself to overseeing the team. You mentioned
Yeah.
it's a gradual journey. How did that actually start? Please tell me a story about your first experience there.
Yeah. So as I mentioned, I started with like C++. I remember I used to have like simple, small, like problem solving assignments to making small projects. I remember at that time I built a complete like file system in C++ and then built some banking type of applications, kind of giving real-time ATM experience. Then I mean that grew when I see something that is working on the terminal with the Turbo C and everything. I started looking into deep into low level languages like the way I mentioned into the assembly language and this and the system that how these bits and pieces work together. I remember that in the assembly language, I also made a game, Snake game. We used to play on initial Nokia 3300 mobile. So I made that with the assembly language. And then, as I mentioned, that using some serial ports and parallel ports, I did try to make home automation project where using the keyboards and different sensors, I was controlling different lights and everything. So those were just like passionate projects that I was doing on my own as a just to like cover my engineering like appetite.
Hmm?
And then after my university, like I started as a software engineer with the company where I worked on different business applications. I worked there for almost 1 year, and after that, I chosen to start my own venture.
Mm.
And story behind that was that I see that there is a huge need to have the right engineering partner who can solve the problem. And I see there are a lot of entrepreneurs, startups who are struggling to find the right engineering partner. So I started this journey with my another partner who was also my senior in college. So we set up this company with two people. I remember the days that we were just two sitting on the desk and coding all the days. So yeah, like the very first application that we worked at was like bail books. It was about like bonds management and all the legal stuff that we were working on. And then this journey continues. After that, in 2007 earlier, we started hearing about social media. Facebook was out. People were making Facebook application. MySpace was there, one of the bigger competitor. So we were building like application for different startups using Facebook APIs, using MySpace. Then at the same time, Bebo, another popular social media platform was there. Friendster was there. So we were pretty much agnostic, building small applications for startups across all these platforms. And I remember one of our applications that was called My Church that was selected by Facebook Startup Venture for the Facebook fund, and we got funding for that as well. And then Facebook called us in the Silicon Valley at their campus, and they mentored us that how we can take this application to the next level. So, I mean, I believe at that time we built 50 to 60 different applications for different, like our customers and different, like demand and everything. And then came like 2012, and at that time, with the iPhone out, like everyone was moving towards the mobile, or at least to have like applications similar, like a web interface and as well as mobile interface as that well. So I started exploring like at that time iPhone applications were built using C language. So we started exploring that. We started building some applications. And at that time, we were working with one of the Y Combinator startup called Study Edge. So they were solving the problem for students who are looking for right support in their college studies, in their university studies, by connecting them with the right teachers for different courses where they can interact with the teachers, they can ask the questions, they can have the material to prepare for their exams. So we built a complete subscription-based application for them, and that application went very popular, and it was like launched across all the Florida like universities, colleges, and schools. And I remember at that time, that application also won the awards of Under 30 Obama Entrepreneur Award, and so like that was one of the success story. And after that, like we moved towards more of started exploring some other domains, and we started thinking that we should focus on one niche instead of doing everything. So we started building application into the healthcare domain only. So we like back from 2015 to 2025, we have been working with a lot of like hospitals, different healthcare companies. We are building like e-prescription systems. We are doing integrations with EMRs, EHR. We are building interoperability solutions. We are doing like audit, penetration testing, and all that stuff. So this is how the journey has been transforming, and now we are more focused on towards the healthcare right now.
Got it. Got it. That's a good background on the company. What about your personal leadership journey, right? Like you started from the two people in a room
Yeah,
scenario, right? When did you start growing the team and how did that go?
I remember that I quit my job in December 2006, and on the Jan 2007, the very first day we started this company, and me and my senior, we were sitting on the desk in the room. The initial like few months, I guess, initial 4 to 5 months being quite challenging. We were just trying to grow, like pulling all the strings together here and there. And I remember that we've been sitting up to 12 to 14 hours in the office, going home around midnights, and also working on the weekends. But after like end of Q2 or mid of Q2 in 2007, we started seeing the light. We started having like growing our team. We see the potential, and we were like slowly ramping up. And then that journey continues. Like I remember in 2008, like we landed very like major customers, like one of the Fortune 500 customer. We started working with Live Nation. Under the Live Nation, I remember that we started working with brand like YouTube, with Mariah Carey, with Swift Taylor. We were managing their like end-to-end web presence in terms of their merchandise store, in terms of their front-end websites, their look and feel, and everything. And yeah, and then this journey like has been moving on. It was a bit challenging at the start, but once we saw the light, we kept growing, we kept building our team, and now we have a team of around 500 people.
Wow,
And yeah, so yeah,
that's a lot of people, and they're geographically distributed too, right?
they are geographically distributed, so it's a like a global company right now.
How do you
And
manage
on top of
that?
that, yeah, so we have set up different hierarchies. Like right now, we are three partners. I oversee the sales and the tech side mostly. Then I have the other founders who have their own department. They are looking over there. And then we have different HODs, head of departments. And then under each of HODs, we have specific hierarchies. And then we are ISO certified, ISO 9001 2015, and then CMM level 2 praise. So these standards help us to maintain quality and standards to deliver quality software applications. And we are also partnered with Amazon. So we are Amazon's like tier partner, which means that we have well-defined our cloud infrastructure team who can like do the audits, who can control the cost on the cloud side. And on top of that, we have dedicated PMO department who does the quality audits, all the projects or all the engagements that we are running on. So it's a different layer of like quality and standards that we have put into place that keep a check on the overall quality and the scaling, that we are not like diverting from the main target and goal that we have set for our organization.
So then, I mean, more specifically, organizationally, right? You've organized this into these different groups, and you have these certifications. How do you what does the day to day look like? Like, are you interfacing? Are you still do you have deep reach into each individual project? Do you lean on your managers to handle a lot of that for you? Like, maybe you could walk us through one of your days. That would be super interesting.
Yeah, so my day starts with like if I look at overall like week, so I have dedicated a day for each department, and then the day that I have for that given department, we try to have meeting with that head of department. We see that okay, what are their targets, where do they stand right now, what are the roadblocks, and how we can expedite and help them to get that moving. And on top of that, like if there is any escalation or anything that needs an attention, this is where like I jump into the details and I just try to give my opinion, but still hear my team thoughts and let them to wrestle and come up with the best solution on the table. I try to avoid any kind of micromanaging or hand-holding to them. I try to rely on their best decision making because they are the linchpin on the day end who are executing those like engagements on day-to-day basis, and they know the best. But if they are stuck at any stage or if they need a guidance or suggestions, that's where like I come into play. So yeah, this is how like we divide these things. Let me know if this makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense. So what
Yeah.
about recently, right? There's a lot of hubbub about AI and how that's changing not only products that people want to use, but also the software development process as well. Um, where have you seen AI adoption in your organization?
Yeah, so I think AI, or first of all, AI adoption is very necessary. So it's kind of, FOMO as well, fear of missing out, that you don't miss any or any of that stuff. But at the same time, you have to be very calculated what kind of AI you are adopting, what is the ROI, because a lot of times when you adopt something, because we are in the healthcare, so we have to be very careful with the data security, data breaches, and overall reliability and the cost efficiency of that AI tool. So as a software engineering firm, we have adopted different AI at different levels. Like if I talk about sales, so we have utilized different like AI tools in our end-to-end sales cycle from lead generation to lead nurturing to negotiation to closing. And the things which were taking days to prepare first, now using the AI, we can do it quite rapidly. Similarly, if I talk about architecture and overall design of the application in the execution, we are using AI help to speed up and expedite that process. When it comes to code engineering side, then there are definitely no code tools, and each tool has their own specialty. Like we are mostly relying on Cursor that our teams are using, and I believe we are generating 20 to 25% code right now using these AI tools. But at the same time, like our head of engineering is making sure that whatever code is generated by these AI tools is owned by the developer. It is not adding any technical debt at the day end. I mean, you can't like keep changing the code because AI, it also misleads sometimes. The term that is mostly used hallucination, that it may add a lot of garbage or unnecessary code, which can create issue of reliability, scalability at a later stage. So how do we make sure that we are using tools like SonarQube and then we have peer reviews of the code to ensure that AI that we are using is not adding a technical debt at a later stage that becomes a headache, but it is really productive at the day end. So these are the two departments where we are using the AI actively, but definitely other departments like HR, finance, accounts, they are also using like AI at a limited level, maybe some utilities and tools to speed up their day-to-day like task and all that stuff.
Great. And do you
So
have a
yeah.
process for evaluating these things? You know, like you mentioned using Cursor. How did you guys pick Cursor over the lot of other choices there are in the market?
We were evaluating three options. One of them is like Versal that we are also using to some extent. As you know, that Versal founder is also having background in the front end. So if we are looking an application which is front end heavy, and we may use a mix of those as well.
Mm.
So we use Versal for making pretty like interfaces, front end and everything. Replit is mix of both. We use that in some cases, but Cursor, that is very friendly. It supports different like LLMs as well that you can utilize, and on top of that, Cursor also comes up with MCPs that you can use. Like if you are looking to, let's say, migrate any code from monolithic to microservices, so you may find some MCP that can do the job for you right away using the Cursor. Or if you have some Figma files and you want you to translate that into the front-end interface. So instead of doing that manually, so within the cursor, you can just find the right MCP and utilize that to do that conversion. So cursor is pretty adaptable, integratable with IDEs as well, and that is the reason went with mainly with the cursor, but we are using limited level Versal and Replit as well where needed.
Sounds great. Sounds great. How about building
Yeah.
building with AI? Because you mentioned in the healthcare space, right? I'm sure people, your customers, are saying, "Hey, how can we either do something faster with AI or deliver a better product experience with AI?" How are you thinking about that?
In healthcare, one of the main challenges that, I mean, everyone is afraid of using the AI because in the healthcare, there are a lot of penalties and a lot of strict regulations that you have to go through, especially about EPHI, like electronic patient health information. So in the healthcare domain, the customers, they have more tendency to not use AI until they feel 100%. Like if I give you an example, right now we are working with like an enterprise firm where we are dealing with their like data of the patients and some claims. So one of their concern is that they don't want to use any kind of AI, and even they are very like precaution that we don't use any kind of cloud interface, or their data should not be going anywhere out of on-prem. So The paradigm is totally like you can say changed in case of healthcare. So you have to be very careful using the AI. But still, there are startups who wanted to use AI for quick prototyping, quick POCs, so they can evaluate the market response, they can raise the funds, and so we have to keep the balance. So like with the startups and with new like innovation that is happening, definitely AI can be usable for quick, rapid deliverables, shipments, and showing and getting the market feedback. But when you come out of that phase, you start getting the real data and real customer. You have to reevaluate your overall application architecture, your database design, your data security policies, data backup, and you have to be 200% sure that your data is not being like going out without the patient context to any other service, any other API or any other way. So being healthcare agnostic and working mostly on the healthcare side, so we try to have all these safeguards on place. First of all, like we have dedicated team of security who evaluates the architecture, the database design, making sure that like even in case of healthcare application, you can't store the patient information in straight format. Like you have to store it into encryption. You need to use algorithm like AES 256 or some other algorithm. So in any case, if your database gets hacked, no one should be able to decrypt that information. You have to store your encryption key at a secure place. So that's the reason that we need to maintain a balance, and we are doing that and making sure that we have all these like security and safety guardrails implemented, especially when dealing with the live patient data or any kind of live medical data.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you thought about any sort of on-prem AI? Like, first of all, I guess, is there you mentioned your customers may be a little cautious about it, right? But have they asked for functionality that might, need some AI? Um, and then the follow-up there is, yeah, and if they have you guys thought about any sort of on-prem solutions there?
Yeah, so we were actually building AI using like OpenAI and some other APIs, and it's really quick because you don't need to do anything on your own. And we built some prototypes quickly, but when the customers check that, they say, okay, they need to have on-prem AI. So we changed totally paradigm to the on-prem side. When it comes to on-prem, definitely there are some cons as well that you need to have computation power, you need to have your own model deployed, and then you need to train that model that it generates the same efficiency the way you are using like online models. So these are some cons. It's a bit lengthy process, but definitely we are shifting, and we did that successfully. We have deployed on-site model. It's almost 70% accurate to the one that we used to have initial POC. So this is where I was saying that when it comes to POC, when it comes to innovation, you can use the AI, but once like it is approved, once you get that traction, you need to have on-prem, or you need to eliminate all these dependencies to make sure your data is safe, it is staying on-prem, it is not going out of the premises.
Yeah. Yeah. And
Yeah.
in that process, how did you learn how to do that? Do the on-prem AI side because it takes some skills, right? It's not like you can just take any open source model and plug it in and hope for the best, right? I'm assuming you had to do a lot of work to make that happen. Um, how did you guys, I guess, how did you guys do it?
Yeah, so we have a team of specialized like AI expert. So like they designed the first of all complete solution around that. Like they figured out that okay, what are all the specification we need in terms of first of all to deploy this solution, like what kind of GPU, RAM, storage, CPU we will need. Then they figured out okay, what are the open source models available in the market, which one is the best one, given that we are dealing with the healthcare domain. And the third main issue was to find the data because we need to have millions of records of data to train that model to bring up to that like accuracy. And the fourth thing is that because it was regarding the healthcare, we also need to make sure that it is compliance with some standards. Like in the healthcare, if I talk about that, there are like NIST AI RMF compliances. There are HSS trustworthy AI practices that you have to follow. And on top of that, there are OSAP LLM practices or HIPAA audit trail practices that you have to follow. So we layered that on top of that. And once the training was done, like we opened that at a limited level for our customer, we tested it with different input parameters. Yeah, and as I mentioned, it has already started getting up to 60 to 70% accuracy to the same level. So these are the four critical parts. What kind of hardware do you need? What model do you choose? What kind of training data do you have? And what safeguard or compliance you wanted to have on top of that? So it fulfills this like purpose that why you are doing all these efforts to go on-prem.
Yeah. That it definitely sounds like a very big project. Was that a big like organizationally, right? Is that a big sub team? Was that a big, like it feels like even with 500 people, you can't do that many of those at the same time, right? It seems like uh, uh, like how organizationally did you manage such a feat?
Yeah, so I think one of the mantra that we follow here is that land and expand that we follow here at our company Purologics. So we've been expanding this team over the time based on the customer needs. So right now we have a dedicated team of like 10 people who are managing all this infrastructure and handling all these different aspects of these use cases to ensure that we like meet their requirements. And the rest of the team is separate, where we have like product team, we have DevOps team, we have like team for core web and mobile application use cases. This is just the AI team.
Got it, got it, got it. Yeah, it makes sense. And then they can
Yeah,
focus their efforts and explore, and that way you can run multiple projects at the same time.
that's right. And on top of that, like we highly follow agile. So like in the agile, it's all about that you keep delivering continuously. So what we do that we used to have our daily stand-up meeting where my teams explain what they are working today, what they are going to work tomorrow, and if they have any questions, they can ask those. And normally we run the sprint of 2 weeks. So every 2 weeks we deliver, we deploy, and our customer test that, provide us the feedback. And after the demo meeting, we have a retro meeting where we discuss what went well, what went wrong, and how to do better in the next sprint. And then we have definitely next sprint planning where we discuss what are the next priorities that we need to focus on. So it's very agile process where we keep delivering and all the stakeholders they are like very tightly coupled together. And normally for any kind of application, we normally have a team of minimum 7 to 8 people, which consist of like product owner, scrum master, we have a UI UX team, we have core engineers on the front end and back end. We have quality insurance engineers, we have database engineers, and then we have cloud engineers to set up like cloud on Amazon, GCP, or Azure, whatever they prefer, or even on-prem as well. And one of the main thing that during all this journey we try to keep an eye is the tech debt. I mean, you can keep building the things, but the tech debt, especially with the AI, I mean, now we are generating code through AI as well. We wanted to make sure that we are not building a product that it reaches at a certain level that we say that we can't add any further feature to this one, or this is not scalable. We have to rebuild it from scratch. And the tech debt is mostly built due to the business pressure that business is pressing you, okay, keep delivering, I need this thing or that thing. Or it can be due to the poor planning or prioritization, due to uh, like it may be due to even no code tools as well, that we are just generating the code and pushing it to the main repo without any planning. It can be due to the legacy issues that we are using outdated code, or maybe due to the lack of technical documentation or visibility that what the overall architecture look like. So we try to take care of these things from the day one. We in our process we try to have like some ever defined, like we can have like every quarter or every 6 months we will do audits, and that audit can consist of like load testing of the application. It can see the overall security audit, that how good is the code written, how good is the database design, server-side security. We can even also see who have access to different like documentation, code, database, test servers, tools, and in the at the same time we can also keep an eye that, let's say if we are working in Python, or let's say if we are working in any specific language, if there is any new version released of any new library or language, is that stable? Should we upgrade to that particular like latest version? And what are the pros and cons? And by taking all the stakeholders in the loop, we go for that update, because we don't want to have a situation that after 1 to 2 years of building we say, okay, we are now on the Python X version, but the latest version is version Z, and we have to rebuild anything from the scratch. And with the technical debt, and on top of that, with the agile practices, these are the few things that keeps us aligned to keep delivering the quality to our customers.
Sounds great. Sounds great.
Yeah.
So, looking ahead, let's look ahead maybe 3 to 5 years. What are you most excited from a technology and leadership perspective at PureLogix? What's the next big challenge you're looking to solve?
Yeah, I think the next big challenge that I see, that we are going to see like lot of automation in each aspect and each area of our life. Like it may be very like normalization that we see humanoid robots all around us, in terms of like we already have seen the transportation like Waymo and Tesla robotaxis, and similarly like it may be that if I need to have someone for the home chores, like I can have some humanoid robot ordered from Tesla that can do all the job. So what I see that from an engineering firm, we need to have people who are not just the coders, but they are also thinking from end-to-end problem solving mindset, and they are great at other areas like soft skills like communication, explaining, and connecting with the people and driving to a solution. So these things are going to be really important next 2 to 3 years. And on top of that, adopting the AI, which really makes like a effect, or which really adds the value at the same time. That those are some things that are really going to make a difference for us in next 2 to 3 years. And we as we are focused on healthcare industry, uh, I mean, we have also been working with few startups who are working on like diagnostics and disease detection kind of algorithms, and we are really proud that we are going to be part of those teams. Like one of the problem that we are solving is for diabetic patients. You know, the diabetic patients, they can't feel the temperature on their feet, so we are capturing the thermal image of their feet and building some algorithm to help the providers to better prescribe to their patients. We are also working in women tech health, where the women can take care of their health better uh, during the hormonal and period cycle and everything. So these are some like interesting areas that we're expecting. And as a engineering leader, I'm really like enthusiastic to see all these problems being solved using the AI and all the innovation that is going to happen. And I'm just trying to align my team to be ready for that change. And they are not just coders, but they are real problem solvers along with the soft communication skills.
Well, thank you so much,
Yeah,
Mohammed. This was really, really insightful.
thank you.
Thanks for tuning into this episode of High Output. If today's conversation was useful, please take a moment to subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Engineering leadership is evolving rapidly, and we're committed to bringing you insights from the front lines every week. Visit getmaestro.ai/highoutput for show notes, transcripts, and past episodes. Until next time, I'm William Cheng, and this has been High Output, where we explore how today's engineering leaders are building tomorrow's high-performing teams.